All right, guys, it's been a while, and I thought I'd put out a quick video here on some RC stuff. I'm getting everything dialed in for this year's racing season, and I bought the World Models Vendetta, and give you a quick look at it here. It's an ARF, so it's almost ready to fly. It's already built and covered. You just have to assemble it, so it's pretty straightforward and not a bad build. And it is the Richard Verano designed version. I have actually raced the versions. Let me bring this over here that he designed. These are the custom ones right here. These Vendettas. I got a few of them, as you can see, and in fact, I've got one right here. This one, I built the ARF, the World Models one that came out in factory production for everybody. I did the covering the same. These are glassed and painted, really nice setups. But these were designed by Richard Verano a few years back, and I've been racing them for 4 years now. And World Models took the design and put it in a kit that everybody can buy. Super great airplane. I've got 2 flights on it now, so I thought I would share some of my build experiences, things that I went through building it, and as well as flying it. And so I've got some stuff written down. The all-up weight of this thing, first of all, it took me about 6 hours, I think, to build, but I did some things to it my own way. And maybe you can build them faster. Every time the manual says it only takes 4 hours to put together, it takes me 8. It usually takes me double. But this one took 6 hours to put together. So much is already done for you. It's really nice. The one thing I wish was always done is control horns. I hate doing those the most. Getting them little screws in and getting them started and all that. But this plane went together pretty decent. So 8.3 pounds is what they say. Mine came in at 8.9, so just barely over 8.5 pounds. The reason being is I use standard servos, throughout, except for the ailerons in the wing. And one thing you need to know is that the ailerons servos, one in each wing half, 2 total, have to be the minis, not the micro, but the minis. Otherwise, they're too thick to fit in there. And I don't read the instructions when I build, and it's clearly stated to use minis in there. I glued my big ones in like I normally would, my standard ones, and went to put the servo hatch in, and it stuck out about 3/16 of an inch. Wouldn't go all the way in, so I had to bust those blocks loose and re-glue in some minis that I had. So it takes 5 servos total. And 1 for each aileron, 1 for the elevator, 1 for the rudder, 1 for the throttle. It does have space in the tray to run 2 elevator servos, 1 down to each half. Probably would do that again if I built it, because I had to add like 1.5 ounces or so in the hatch on the bottom to get it to balance where I like it, to get a little more tail heavy. And an extra servo would have done that, and I wouldn't have dead weight back there, and 2 elevator servos is always a plus on a race plane. So 5 servos total. Again, mine came at 8.5 pounds, which isn't bad, and I put the YS 115 Warbird Special in it. My CG, I think they say 5 inches, and I'm at 4 7/8 right now with the extra added weight. And I glued my tail section in permanently. This model was built to where it could be shipped, meaning your vertical and horizontal stab can come undone, or the horizontal stab, I think, can come undone so that you can ship it in a smaller box if you were going to go to races across the country or across the world or whatnot. I won't be traveling that way to races. If I go to a race, I drive. So I just glued mine in. And with this motor on high nitro, creates so much horsepower, so much torque. It bangs pretty good. And I just know that the energy of vibration gets transferred out to the to the extremities of the airplane. And I would worry, personally, I would worry about some of that coming loose back there, or building slop in the structure part of it that's meant to be put on, taken off, put on, taken off for traveling purposes, for packing it up. So I just epoxied mine in solid like you would normal setup. So I did that. My landing gear, when I built it on my Maiden, when I came in, I was flying around and it just died on me. I was running it pretty fat for Maiden because I wanted to see what the airplane would do. And I think my plug got a little cool because I still had fuel left, but it just died. So I had to quick pop the gear down, and I was already low. I was already had gotten it trimmed and was, just flying on the course, just testing to see what my throws were on my elevator, if I needed to add or decrease. And it died in a kind of a bad spot. So I had to, I pulled it up, got the gear down, and then just had enough distance to bring it in. But it came in hot because I was actually had a tailwind where I was at on the course. It's just what it ended up being. So, but it hopped on me, hopped 3 times, and didn't do any damage. I just don't like a plane hopping. And generally, if you land and if a plane hops, you either came in too fast and hit too low when it comes up, or sometimes the landing gear is sprung too far forward. And so if it's too far back, it'll nose over when it comes in. If the landing gear, the tire location is too far forward, sometimes it'll hop as it comes in and lands. So I have shimmed mine up just barely 1/8 of an inch, if that, and it lands really well. Plus I've added a little more tail weight so that I get a little more response on my elevator so that it doesn't come down and I can't quite control it. Because I hate how, I'm holding as it's coming in. And I don't like to have to let up and then grab it again, because you get a bunch of that. And on some short runways, that becomes a problem. So one thing I did do on the cowl screws, let me see if I can get this for you here. Because these things are they vibrate so much, there's a cowl screw here and a cowl screw down here, and there's 2 on this side and 2 on this side. Because of the vibration that goes through, I normally will put like a nyrod in where these screws fasten into the fuselage. I'll glue those in, let that set up, and then run my cowl screw through that. And it usually gives it something good to grip. Just balsa alone, even hardwood sometimes isn't the most durable. Well, I just put some blind nuts in there. I would encourage you to do that, the cowl, so that the cowl doesn't come loose. On my initial run up, they did, and that was a problem. So as far as the plane on my Maiden, I took it up, and this, no joke, I was flying it and it was just barely climbing. So I gave it a click down. It was just barely climbing. I gave it another click down, and it came straight across the runway. My aileron was rolling a little bit to the left, not a lot. Sometimes these Maidens can be a handful, especially on these 150-mile-an-hour airplanes. But it's one of the reasons I was running it rich, running it fat, was so that it wouldn't get up to top speed. And I wasn't wide open on the throttle either. But 2 clicks of down and 2 clicks of left is what this took to get this airplane to actually roll just right, or to stay nice and straight and level. I did not have to add any wingtip weight. If you're flying an airplane, you roll it up, and if you turn it in the turn, if that thing dips down, you want to put weight on the upper wing to hold that wing up. If you're turning and the airplane climbs up, you want to put weight on the lower wing so that it stays, level. That's providing when you come into your turn, you roll it perfect and turn. If you over rotate, it'll come down. If you bring it in and you under rotate, it's going to climb up and over. So that's providing that you've got you're controlling your transmitter sticks, aileron, and elevator the way that you're supposed to. I did add 1.5 ounces to the rear, and I did that. All I have is a little zippy battery, and I wish I had more, because I've got electric retracts in this, which come built for you in it already, which is awesome. But all I had was a 700, a zippy 700. Normally I would try to run like a 1200 life battery, and then I would figure out a place to put it back there. And that would also help with any movement of any weight around to get my CG where I want, center of gravity where I want. But all I had in stock, and I got like 4 or 5 of them I use in other pylons. So I just put that in there. I can still get 3 flights out of that easy. I'm only running 80 milliamps per flight, and if I run 3, that's 240. That's 250. Call it 300 if something was binding or, doing something. That's still, plenty of leftover battery capacity. So I did change my tires. Nothing wrong with the stock ones. I just like running these car type tires. I just have always liked them. I don't know. Maybe it's just a cool factor. I don't know, but that's all I ran there. So my prop's an APC prop. If I run this in the gold class, this will be a 13.5, 13.5, or a 13.14. Right now, I think this is a 12.13. And I'm running the smaller one. One, I'm up at 6,000 feet. 2, I'm only running 30%, running Healy feel through it. Like I said, I built this, and I'm going to use this more for a club racing than anything probably. But APC prop, Robert Hollick runs that company, owns that company now. Great company, support them. The fuel I'm running is 30% Rich's Brew, Randy Rich out of Texas, a good friend of mine. Obviously, the power plant, Richard Verano, YS engine. This is the 115 Warbird Special. You can't beat it for Warbird racing. There are guys still out there trying to do ducted fan motors, tune pipes, helicopter motors. They're good. I remember a guy in Sacramento, he was running it just because he had trouble tuning YS's, or that's what he said. Maybe he just wanted to be different. I don't know. He finally switched, and he's running a 4-stroke and the YS motor. And it's just something about these engines that are just, it's just the way to go. And all my electronics obviously are D-Force Aviation, RC Depot. It's the JR Propo design. And you can't beat JR servos. I'm sorry. There's a lot of good equipment out there, but there's only one great equipment. And when you put not as much time and money into some of these planes, this airplane here was right at $300. I bought it directly from Phi in California. And but when you get a little bit of money, your hard-earned money in it, you don't want it to fail because of something stupid. Some people complain because servos for this might be, $60, $70 a piece, where they can get some cheap ones for $20. All right. Those cheap ones are going to come back to bite you 1 time, 2 times, maybe 3 times. You might be that person that says, oh, I've never had an issue. You will. You will. Especially if your plane holds together long enough and the vibration sets in, those cheaper servos are going to bite you. And so I've got airplanes. I've got one airplane back there that I have had. It's on its 6th racing season, and I run 60% nitro through it. So it's running fast, it's running hard, and yep, I've rebuilt the motor, but again, I'm running 60%, and I rebuilt it last year. It made it through 4 or 5 seasons, and probably 6, 7 flights at an event with the heats and the practices that I do. So 40, 50 flights a year. And it held together well. So a testament to that engine from YS. But I've got some of my Vendettas up there I've got one up there that I raced, one of the first ones I got. And it's my loaner. I think Randy Rich raced it in the Nats a couple years ago. And it's an all monocoated Vendetta, and that thing just keeps on going. But it's got the good JR servos. It's got those were the 3421s back there. I think they're called the 3411 now. But this plane I've got dialed in. It's on my my 11 channel JR radio. Flies it great. Was easy to program and easy to fly. So shout out to APC Prop, Rich's Brew, YS Engine, and JR Propo, DFA, D-Force Aviation. All right. Now, a couple other things I want to talk about real quick. I got a message from a guy who makes some custom homemade tools. And so I went ahead and ordered some and bought them. They weren't given to me, so this isn't a cheap plug because I got a free product. Paid full street price for them. just because I thought it's kind of cool. I want to check it out. So I'm going to give them a little shout out. If you've ever changed a glow plug, this is probably what you used. These are the wrenches where it's got the various size, sockets for the different plugs, and you can get little glow plug holders where you can put some glow plugs in, spare glow plugs. This has got the 3/8, the half, the 5/16, and the 7/16. And this is made by Dubro. And there's the sizes on it if you want to see that. I think it's focusing. Okay, use this a lot. Works great. There's nothing wrong with it. But the issue on warbirds is when you come up inside there, the outer diameter of this is a little bit too thick to get into the glow plug on those. It mars up the cylinder head. It works great on like Thunder Tiger or OS type motors, but it just doesn't quite work the way that I want on some of the applications. So like a lot of guys, I switched to this. And what I did was I ground down this. That's why it's heated up. I ground it down. I don't know if you can see, but it's really thin so that it fits up, and I use it just for warbird. It gets up inside the cylinder head and is able to grab the plug. This is okay. I mean, I've got some tape shoved up in there, clear tape, so that the glow plug, I can stick a glow plug in here and then run it up in there and it won't fall out. Well, Jack Hinkle Sr. Had gotten a hold of me and was selling some glow plug wrenches. And I think these were $25 a piece. And he machines them himself. And it is super cool. And this one is designed just for the warbirds. It'll work on standard plugs though. This one will do it all. Because it's the YS plug is the same as an OS number 4, 8, or whatever those OS plugs are. I ordered mine with a loose, this set screw right here can be loosened up. And what that allows you to do is slide this T-handle in or out or take it out. And you can use it's knurled right here to where you can grip it really nice. And it's super thin right here on the end where it can actually get up into the cylinder head on these YS engines with no problem. And I like it. And I asked for mine to have this, this set screw that you can move this arm if you want it here to get some pressure. And you don't need a lot of pressure on those glow plugs, don't get me wrong. But I just wanted the ability to custom pull that out if I wanted to, if I'm doing bench work or whatever it might be. And he also sells another one, and this one's a little bit smaller. This one is made for the regular, like a Thunder Tiger or an OS motor, fits right in. And then on the other end, I believe it's the 3/8. It's meant for like my quarter midgets with a Nelson 40. Those plugs are bigger. Now this is where I really am going to like this, because I have one of these that I use there too with a bigger socket, and sometimes I snug them up and I go out and run them, and those things run high 20,000 RPMs, right? And they run it for about a minute. I guess a minute if you're a good pilot, a minute and 6 seconds if you're a bad pilot like me or mediocre. And this, I wouldn't crank super hard. You can't crank super tight with this type of setup. You just can't. There's no T-bar coming out to really get leverage and crank it. But when I come down, man, those plugs, the heat, they would get in there tight. So this right here in the 3/8 end is going to allow me to really bust open and free up those glow plugs easier. So I went ahead and ordered 2. Okay, spent the money and got one that is for my standard right here, and then the Nelson plug. Okay, and then I got one just for warbird racing. And it's longer so that it can reach up in, because sometimes you get a motor that's recessed up inside a cowl and the short one just won't reach, because it'll try to get in there and it'll hit the cowl on parts. So these have got longer. So whatever your application is, he can make one for you there, Jack Hinkle. Anybody that's into RC probably has heard of him or knows him. So I'm going to give you kind of a quick walk around of the airplane a little bit, let you see it, and then I'm going to cut this video off. This really was for world models. The ARF, if you're getting into warbird racing, it's a great option. The covering is fair. World models, I don't think ever claims to have the greatest covering. I am getting some wrinkles. I did heat it up. I did not iron it, but I did heat it up and those went right away. But the wing, for the most part, isn't too bad. It's got issues. The fuse isn't too bad, but it's pretty typical world models type covering. Like I said, this came all white. I added the color and the sponsor decals and whatnot. And my on-off switch and my charge jack, I do it a little different. I don't like the big bulky jacks that JR sells. Are great on sport planes, but this just works out good for me. The charge jack's just glued into a block on the inside coming through, so plug it right in there. I don't like to have to take the wing off to charge. I like everything, be right there. I use all of their standard hardware, standard tail. Again, I glued this rear section in solid so that it would not ever, through vibration or whatnot, work itself loose. Nothing did I change on the wing, just epoxied it like you normally would. Okay, I did blind nut the screws, my YS engine, and a dinky little spinner. The spinner is the wrong size, but it's all I had. I didn't want to order one. It's a 1/4 inch too small. You can see it's not there, but it is there. Now what I did do is I do pin my spinners. I drill out and tap and bring a little 440 or a small screw, it's smaller than 440, through, and then I notch out the spinner, and that keeps the spinner from spinning. Some guys just put sandpaper on the back, and I've done that and had those work loose. So this is an old used spinner that I had in the toolbox. I thought, well, that'll work. So that's going to be it, the review for that. Hope you guys enjoy. I hope it helps some of you decide. Great airplane to build. You can run it in the gold class, the silver class, or the bronze class. Just depends on what you put in it for a power plant, how much nitro you run in it, and what size prop that engine and nitro can provide. So, or will allow. So that's World Models. Check them out. They're online. The World Models or Airborne, and they sell the same deal. So go ahead and get you one of these. I ordered it, was here within a week. Great airplane, went together super good, flies excellent, very little trim needed. I can't wait to start racing it. Let's see.